Okay guys, day two. I was kind of left yesterday. Kids got back from a little trip they took for Thanksgiving to see some family. So I decided to go home and see them. I hadn't seen them in like a week. But did nothing really change. Just took the cherry picker up and getting ready to set it onto the K-member. Then after that is set down and bolted to the K-member. Then I'm gonna put the flywheel, pressure plate, clutch on, and then I'm gonna set the transmission up. Use probably a jack or a jack stand to hold the transmission at the height it needs to be. Then set the body down and button everything up. So today, hopefully, we get it finished. Okay, now that the motor is set in, it is bolted down. I kept the cherry picker on it so there won't, if it decides to move around or something, it won't fall. Install the flywheel, then clutch, then pressure plate. Okay, what we have here is a spec lightweight steel flywheel, a spec stage 2 plus, I think, clutch, and a spec stage 2 plus flywheel or pressure plate. When installing this, you want almost all kits will come with this tool. It's a spline clutch alignment tool. It fits in the splines on the clutch, like so. So when you line it up with your pilot bearing, it holds the clutch center. So when you go to put the transmission on the back, you're not fighting this. They'll line up center. Also on your clutch, you'll have a side that says FW side, that means flywheel side. And that means that the other side is your clutch side. Usually it's the flat side is your flywheel, just a rule of thumb, but just make sure you look at the clutch and follow what they want you to do. Okay, you can also run these down with like an electric gun or something. You're not tightening them, you're just running them down to hold pressure to make sure your clutch is straight. These all have to be torqued In a second, I'll jump on the computer and figure out what the torque spec of it is. I don't know off the top of my head. But these, you have to torque your pressure plate bolts. When you tighten these down, these pressure forks or fingers move. So if they're not torqued evenly or to the same amount, you'll get what like a clutch chatter, or your clutch pedal will vibrate. It'll cause many little issues just from that little step. So always make sure you torque your pressure plate down. Ford's manufacturer spec is 26 foot-pounds. I looked on the spec website also. They say 24 foot-pounds. I'm just going to go with the Ford manufacturer spec and go to 26 foot-pounds. You want to do this in a star pattern. There's 6 here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So you want to try to do it like a star, like you would a tire or a wheel. Now that that's done, you can go ahead and pull your guide pin out, because now we're going to install the transmission. I'm going to probably put a jack over here so I can have some support the transmission as I'm trying to line it up. Usually it's easier with 1 or 2 people, or more than 1 person, but it's only me today, so I gotta do what I gotta do. Well, I got it on, but doing stuff by yourself, you forget things. The spacer plate's supposed to go on before the flywheel and clutch even goes on. Definitely can't put it on though with the transmission on. So I'm gonna have to take transmission back off. I can snake this up behind the flywheel and get it on, and then I'll fight the transmission once again. That's how it works. It's there. It's pretty much good for the most part on back here. This is a Lashbrook TR3650. Lashbrook's a guy that builds pretty solid transmissions out of Fort Worth, Texas. I met up with him through Craigslist and kept in contact with him. He's a good dude. I got a smoking good deal on it. It's fully gone through, you know, steel shift forks and copper pads. I mean, straight cut gears, just everything. Other than for the fact that it's noisy because of what it is, it's super good transmission, no issues. Even when I pushed more than, I think I pushed like 14 pounds of boost when the head gaskets went this last time. Still no issues with it at all. I'm hoping to push more than that this go around with this new fuel system, but you know, we'll find out. This is a MGW short throw. I really don't recommend any other kind, to be honest. I love my MGW short throw. I had it with the factory transmission when I had the T45, and I liked it so much that when I got a TR3650, I bought one for it too. I don't think there's a better one out there. That's my opinion. But I just want to give you guys a little information back here. So now I'll probably move the camera back to the front or the phone, and start putting the rest of the stuff on the front and the manifold and running the wiring, and we're almost there, guys. Now I got to set the intake down and run the wiring. I think that's the oil filter adapter with the relocator for the oil filter. But other than that, I think that's it. Not a whole lot left before I set this body on and button everything up and get it all going. I'm going to throw these spark plugs in. The spark plugs I use are TR7s, or I guess BR7 EF. It's a NGK. It's a lot. I'm pretty sure it's a colder plug or a hotter plug. It's for boosted applications. You see the spark electrode, I guess, is a lot further down in there. Boosted life. Now it's time to stick on these. These are Excel Super Coil or something like that, coil packs. Never had any issues with them at all. I've ran them for a while now. They work for me. guys, I just decided to put some music on and get cranking away. But I did this. I put the turbo on. I don't think you can set the body down with the turbo on. I'm actually thinking about trying it, but I did this because it's way easier to set the turbo on now and find the alignment of the passenger side pipe. That orange stuff you see on there is copper RTV. It's a good thing to put that on all those joints. But to find the alignment on this pipe here, so then if the turbo does have to come off, which I've always done it that way, but I'm thinking about trying it like this, setting the body down to see if I can have clearance. But so when and the fact that you do have to take this pipe here, or the turbo and that Y pipe out, that pipe right there is there. So when you go to line it back up, all you have to worry about is the clamp there and that clamp there. You're not trying to line up all pieces all at once. And then figured I'd show it, because if you're doing an on-through turbo kit for the first time, I wish I would have had a colored picture to look at and a standpoint like this, just so I knew how everything ran. That's half of the battle, was figuring it out, how it worked. The oil feed line comes from right there. It's routed up this way right now, but it'll come from right there out underneath, and then it'll go to right here. This is it right here. Right now it's just tucked away for the sake of lowering the body down and getting out of the way. Yeah, that's how they look with the On3 front mount turbo kit. No complaints with that turbo at all. It's the upgraded, I think it's 7665. It's still a journal bearing. Eventually I'll get a ball bearing, but this just got me started. But I don't have any complaints with it at all. Anytime I've ever had any issues, On3's been right there to help me out on the real great company. Awesome support in that company. But yeah, I just want to kind of just started ticking away at it. I'm gonna set the phone up. I'm really curious to see if I can just drop it down. It'll be close. I guess it's worth a shot. What's the worst that happens? I go back up with it and then have to take the turbo out, right? We'll see what happens. Okay guys, I'm going to give it a shot. The turbo's still on there. I usually take that whole Y pipe off, like I was saying a second ago, for the clearance purposes. But when you stick that part back on after the body and the K-member's back together, you stick it in through the bottom anyway. So my thought process is, give it a shot. The worst that could happen is that it doesn't work, and I have to take it off and do it the way I've done it several times already. So if it does work, I will have to undo those clamps on the centerpiece and on the off the Y pipe on both sides, so on the centerpiece and on the driver's side manifold, to put some copper RTV on those. I didn't, because I didn't plan on doing this, but we'll see what happens. I just have to move that jack pole down to get it out of my way. But other than that, it's ready to come down. So give it a shot, see what happens. This is another one of those jobs that's a lot easier with a couple sets of eyes just to watch. So just come down a little at a time and just watch. Air filter had to come off, but I think we're good. on the K-member and drop the body down. Pretty cool to know. I'm just going to go ahead and button some stuff up, tighten up all those K-member bolts and the transmission mount bolts, and start hooking it all back up. I'll keep you guys in touch. Alright guys, well, for the most part, he's back together. Gotta put the tires on. The serpentine belt is not on because my tool to install the power steering pump pulley broke. So, like I said, I'm not going to start for long anyway. There is oil in it and coolant. Not that the coolant's really going to matter too much because without the water pump turning, it's not really going to cycle. But I mean, just for the sake of something being in there, I put some coolant in there, and then there's oil in it. So yeah, I'll set the phone up and get a first start. It's probably going to knock a little bit at first because there's no oil on the top side of the motor, but it should clear up within a few seconds. It's going to be loud because I don't have the rest of the exhaust on. It's just dumped right there. You can see where it stops. But yeah, so I'm going to set the phone up and let's get going. Okay guys, here we go. You always get a little nervous when you go to do this part, no matter how many times you've done it, because it's so much you did. Went over it a few times, pretty sure I got everything right. Let's see what happens. Get a jump box. I want to make sure I didn't pull. I don't think I did. I don't think I pulled that fuel pump really, but I need to get a jump box. Take two. I don't hear the fuel pump coming on. I may have pulled the fuse. I really don't remember. Checking with a test light. All my fuses are good. Ooh. Just remember, I didn't tighten down the PCM connector. There's a PCM connector right there with a 10mm bolt to lock it down. We're going to have to do that. Let's try again. Guys, she is running. Not gonna run her too long. She's alive. Good thing. Hate to do that all over again. Hey, thanks for watching Loud but Slow. Until next time.